We'll be right with you.
My brain's just dropped out.
At least we got an intro.
Hello and a very warm welcome back to Widowed AF. You're here with your host, Rosie Gilmoss, and my co-host,
Jonathan Gilmore.
Oh, we're so slick now. How many episodes? Hello, everybody. We are a little late putting out our episode. A myriad of reasons. It's been a very busy week, and it just we just didn't have time. Yeah. So those of you who follow our Instagram or are personal friends of ours will know that we had some, it's making me go goosebumpy saying it, we had the news that we have been fighting for 2 years this week. We found out that our middle son, has got a place in a specialist provision, which is 14 minutes away and is designed to support children who have got neurological conditions, but also children who've been through trauma. So the relief that he's going to be safe and he can stay in the school till he's 16, and they are an incredible school who contacted me off the back of an article I did complaining about the lack of provision. And it has been a protracted battle. And actually, I'm going to be controversial. KCC absolutely went into bat for us, didn't they?
They did. They did. Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I think they saw that we were not, because we have been a massive pain in their arse. I have. It's the whole squeaky wheel situation, and we met face to face, and I think they realised that we weren't being difficult. We were trying to give our child the best chance of, and I don't want to use the term a normal life, of a good life, to have the same opportunities that his siblings have. Yeah. So anyway, that's brilliant news for us. Means absolutely bugger all to anybody else, but well, this is what we do here, right? So we'll come back to our week in a moment, but we can't obviously let the episode go by without discussing David Kelly's episode. So once again, for those of you who haven't listened, you know what to do. We don't get as many male voices on the podcast. I think men in general are a little bit more reserved about talking about painful subjects, and you don't get much more painful than being widowed, do you?
No, you don't.
And I think having you actually come in on these kind of Friday, it's going out on Sunday episodes, has helped, because other men are hearing you open up, which I think in turn has a knock-on effect into the wider world.
I hope so. I hope so, because I do believe we need to talk more, we need to express more, and I rabbit on every week.
Well, it's true, and it's not just about grief, is it? It's just about the daily struggle sometimes of being in a world that feels like it's going to hell in a handcart. And we're all carrying around a lot of, worries and concerns. People have got financial worries or relationship worries, but we tend to keep these things to ourselves because we don't want to burden other people, or we feel a sense of shame. So anyway, I rabbit on as is usual. But yes, David, his wife died from colorectal cancer, which is not dissimilar to what Sarah died from. And I think for you, there were kind of a horrifying amount of similarities, weren't there?
Yeah, there most definitely was. It started at the beginning, he was working and caring. And then the feeling of everything's going south.
And misdiagnosis as well.
And misdiagnosis, yeah, because they don't spot it.
Well, she presented at hospital after a trip back with blood in her stool and was sent home. So all of these delays created knock-on delays to her treatment in as much of a similar way to Sarah.
Yeah, it goes back to, we were talking the other day with the lady from Channel 4 about... Mm-hmm. Just because you're under a certain age and you present with certain conditions, they treat it differently to whether you're older in age, and we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, and it's quite common for it to be missed in people that are young and fit for that reason.
Yeah.
And I have to say, and it makes my blood go cold even saying it, the thing that stood out for me, there were several things, but one of them was that his wife was told on her own that she wasn't going to make it. And the inhumanity of that just breaks my heart. That news alone is devastating, but to be told on your own with nobody there to hold your hand.
That's just wrong.
Yeah.
Everything about that is wrong for her, for the family, for everyone surrounding.
the lack of compassion. And I'm always careful to say, that we don't blame the direct staff in the NHS, but on this occasion I do, because we know they're stretched and we know that times are very difficult, but that is not a conversation that you should have with somebody alone.
No, definitely not.
Now, David is also a grief encounter family liaison officer, and so he worked previously in the grief sector, so he had some experience of what grief, he was a little more informed, say, than we were, with completely clueless. And he used another term which I liked, was modelling good grief, because he then had to raise their son alone. Yeah. And by modelling grief to your children, by which I mean allowing them to see it in a way that is safe and age appropriate, to see you cry, to see you try and get better, to see you go to therapy. Like my kids, when I get in from a run, I'm always like, I did that for my head, just trying to get the kind of idea into them that these things have to be done in order to process grief.
And weirdly, just to interject and actually fast forward to Monday's episode, which everyone's not heard, but Laurie makes a good point about her therapist.
Oh, yeah.
Saying you have to feel these feelings now, so in future you can feel the other feelings. And, this is the first time I've heard that term, and it resonated quite, because I had the, you can choose to be happy or sad. And when you combine all these things, they're all saying the same thing.
Yeah. It always reminds me of that children's book, Bear Hunt. You can't go over it, can't go under it. You've got to go through it.
Yeah.
And at some point you will, and some people will manage to process it much sooner than others. But yeah, it is a process that you have to do. And he also coined that wonderful term, screensaver mode.
Screensaver mode. That resonated with quite some people.
We've had so many people comment on that. And again, making that choice he says himself he gained a lot of weight. His evenings consisted of sitting on the sofa eating crisps.
Yeah.
But he got off that sofa and started running and set a role model, an example for their son. And he continues to do good in the world. And a bit of a spoiler if you haven't heard it, but he did appear on another podcast. It's an American podcast, and as a result of which he met somebody who lives in America. So he's now conducting a long distance relationship, but he said it's working. And I mean, you'll have to listen for all the details, but I do like a sort of love story at the end. So one of the things I wanted to get Jon's voice on was this idea of solo parenting. Now, widows really don't like being called single parents, because in most cases when you're divorced or separated, and I know that there's a lot of cases also where the other parent isn't involved, but generally you have somebody that cares about your child as much as you do, that is in your corner, and you perhaps get the odd weekend off, maybe even every other weekend. And solo parenting is a different beast. It is so incredibly isolating and lonely. And I was thinking back to, it came up on my Facebook that I went out for the first time 5 years ago. Now, Ben died in March. That was the first time I left the children, because it was my mum's birthday and they'd gone for a meal in Whitstable, which was near where I lived. And a friend came and sat with the children for me so I could go out. And I was such a sociable creature, and I didn't want to trust anybody with my children because they were all I had. Yeah. And also they were, one of them in particular was very attached to me, and I would have to sit until they fell asleep every night. And it's you feel really it's hard to say, isn't it? But you feel trapped. And to say that you feel trapped by your own child or children is a horrible thing to say, but it is difficult when nobody gives you respite. And actually, one thing I would say to anybody who wants to support somebody who has been bereaved or widowed is do offer to look after their children if they have them. They might not accept early on because they might be fearful of leaving them out of their sight because you're scared of everything.
But then if that is the case, just suggest just go down the road and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
just have a bit of time by yourself, but be close by.
We trialled a new babysitter, didn't we, with Hector?
Yeah.
And we literally walked to the pub up the road. had like one drink and came back again because we just wanted to see. And now he loves her like a second grandmother. So. But sorry, obviously the Rosie FM got involved there, but the solo parenting aspect is massively exacerbated if you're a bloke, isn't it?
Yes.
Because who wants to send their kid to sleep over at a single bloke's house? It shouldn't be.
Yeah, and there's
It was odd.
You know, when that first holiday I went with Holly to Tenerife, just me and Holly, and so I spent the entire week alone, sat with my little beer at the back of the kids' club while the kids were dancing on the stage. And it wasn't until the very last day, Holly must have told her new friend that like her mummy had died.
As they do.
They went and saw the parents, and I saw the chain of Holly told the kid something. The kid then ran to the parents, and the parents, as they were talking, looked over at me.
Oh my God, I don't know the story.
And I've got my little beer in my hand, and they're like, oh, fuck. And they came over, and they went, we don't want to be rude, but apparently Holly said her mummy died. I went, oh, yeah, she did back in November. This was like February half term. So it was, quite fresh. And oh, yeah, she did. She passed away of cancer. And they said to me, well, you should have said.
What?
And I said to them, I said, with the greatest respect, it's not really an icebreaker. But they just see single man with their kid.
And assume that you're a divorced dad taking your kid on holiday.
Divorced dad taking your kid on holiday, and you get ignored. And yes, you know, the possibility of any your kid having any of their friends, especially with girls, having a sleepover when there's a single and widowed. Yeah. Because that stigma is also there as well.
Yeah. And it's things like the WhatsApp groups. I'm in obviously way too many WhatsApp groups, but the school WhatsApp groups, I don't think, and I apologise if I'm wrong, but I'm on 3 WhatsApp groups, and I don't think there's a man in any of them.
No, I think the only then I went into the Harriet one.
Yeah.
When Sarah fell ill, because obviously I was taking over it. Also, that's when WhatsApp was really quite cruel, because when Sarah obviously not logged in for 3 months.
Oh no!
It just popped up saying Sarah's left the group.
Oh,
and there's quite a few tear emojis just appeared in, and because the tear emojis had like run up, I didn't see what had happened,
and so
I popped in. I'm like, everybody all right? And then someone screenshotted it and went, oh, it was just this. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Why is this funny to us?
But looking back now, I can see the humour in it. But at the time, you know, it just knocked me for absolutely six. And then of course, the next school, I was in that one until I went for my long nap.
Your long nap. You shouldn't play it down like that. I guess the take from that is, if you know somebody who, and particularly if they're a solo dad, maybe offer to take their kid out with your kids, maybe invite them around for barbecues, try and include them even when they say no. Just keep sending those invites.
Yeah, keep doing it, even if there's because knowing that you're there means more than anything.
Well, I think I've mentioned on here before that I have a friend that more or less texts me on the 12th of every month and has done for what will be 6 years in March. Yeah. I mean, it's just a gesture. And actually, as you talked about Tenerife, because we went to Tenerife later on, and I think a similar thing happened. Holly befriended a little girl, announced as they do. Yeah. And the parents, we sort of had a brief chat with them, and then I've stayed in touch with them via Facebook, and they came over and sort of said to you, actually, I didn't get the same kudos, and just said, well done, you're obviously doing an absolutely cracking job.
God, that's the other side of solo parenting. Like the first, it was a birthday party I took Holly to, and I was outside, and Holly's off playing, and one of the mums comes and sits over, and it was with the best of intentions, but she effectively did a good boy and tapped me on the head, like, oh, you're doing so well parenting Holly. She's such a wonderful girl. And I just looked, thanks.
Yeah. But now you look back and see it for the kindness that it is, that they're trying to say to you, we can see that despite what has happened to your child,
exactly,
this child is still jumping into the water, making friends, making disgusting concoctions from the free soft drink machines, and essentially being a child.
Yeah, and now I appreciate the sentiment, but back then I was like, And it felt like I was being told I'm a good boy because you're the dad.
Well, because you were managing to do a woman's job, John, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know.
I mean, no one saw the laundry in the house, so
Well,
I didn't see that side of things.
Well, laundry is an ongoing issue in a house of 6 people right now. I've now labelled. I'm on a never-ending quest to make my life organised, but I have 2 very competing sides of my brain. One desperately craves order and structure and calm, and the other one just wants to fucking burn the place down and dance around in her pants. So yeah, it's But and talking of which, I mentioned on Instagram the book. It's called ADHD Love, and it's by a couple who have an Instagram and TikTok by the same name. Lots of you will have seen them because they've got millions of followers. I've just read their book, hyper focused. Read it in not even 2 hours. I think it was about an hour and a half.
Yeah, I took Holly to football.
Yeah. And John's now reading it because if you, and I know this isn't an ADHD podcast, but I also know that a lot of our listeners are neurodivergent, and if you are supporting somebody or you have ADHD, I think it's a really helpful book to read because the thread throughout it is one of compassion. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about this kind of constant mantra in my head of, oh, for fuck's sake, Rosie, you know, I lose things, I forget things, I'm late. And not all of that is excusable by ADHD, but quite a lot of it is. And I'm now putting in strategies to help me manage it, and you assist me huge. We wouldn't have this podcast because I hate creative. Like I come up with the ideas, and then you make them happen. So teamwork here. But yeah, it's not a promo or anything. I just personally found it. It touched me, if that makes sense. I felt a little bit more kindness towards myself after reading it.
Yeah.
Now, we also mentioned Laurie's episode, which is on, well, it'll be tomorrow. It's my first drowning interview.
Yes.
And is that the dog barking?
That's the dog barking.
It's just stopped. And if I'm honest, and the first words I said to Laurie when she came on was, I don't want to do this. And she just said, and she just sort of, well, she got it, of course she did. And I've never I don't often show the side of myself before a big interview or a big event, but I often have a panic attack or go into a sort of meltdown. I'm still getting over the shame and stigma around it, and so I'm trying to kind of talk about it a bit more to try and release that. But I was on the floor having a panic attack like minutes before she came on the camera. But it's probably one of our best episodes to date. It's really, really raw. I have found, I think, a friend for life in Laurie. We connected. There was just an instant connection. We understood each other. I loved the way that she has approached her recovery through the grief. I love that she remarried and has a new life, but she has never forgotten her husband.
Yeah.
And I think if you can bear it, and for anybody who knew me and Ben beforehand, I'm getting a bit emotional saying it. You cried from minute 8, didn't you?
Yeah.
It is tough, and it does go back into some of those horrible, horrible, dark bits of my life, which I'm, as in the bear hunt, having to walk through.
Yeah.
But it felt in a weird way kind of therapeutic for me, I suppose, in so much as it was for her. But it is it's an engaging and a very, hard to say your own episode's good, isn't it, without sounding like a bit of a twat. But she is wonderful. She really is wonderful, and she unfortunately lives in Canada. But one day we'll get there.
It's on our list, so we'll get her there eventually.
We're just going to work our way around the world visiting widows. I had coffee with Liz Towner actually this week, which was really nice because we live quite close to each other. So she popped in and had a coffee with me, and that was lovely because it's that having a conversation with somebody that genuinely knows what you've been through and understands. And we didn't really talk about dead people that much, but what we did talk about was mental health, because Liz's husband took his own life. And I then had an interview with another lady whose husband took his life, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
But that's a whole new different tangent. We don't need to go down there right now, do we? Right. Do you want to do the bookings?
Yes, bookings.
You do the admin bit.
Yeah, it's been a while since I put any bookings out. Now, just be aware that I have all your names. I have all your, well, not all your numbers, because not all of you give me numbers, but your email addresses. And I will be opening up the books to get people booked in, I think from January. Our dates are going from January next year.
Yeah, we're booked up till January, which is amazing. And we do have a long list of applicants, which, to be honest, we call them applicants. We don't really go through them. We just allow you to book in because, as far as I'm concerned, you've got a story to tell. I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
So don't feel that you have to almost give me like really juicy details or anything. It is literally an admin process that we do. So we have everyone's details. But we are, I mean, Laurie has the dubious accolade of being episode 69 tomorrow, which I'm kind of love sending out her engraved token. So it's working.
Yeah.
What we're doing is working. People are, every single day we get messages saying that it's helping them to either heal themselves or help somebody else to heal.
Yeah.
And now we can't take full credit for that. Because
No. You guys are sharing and supporting each other, and it's brilliant. And if what we provide is helping you, then that's exactly what we wanted to do.
That's all this is for, really. It's to raise awareness of what living as a young widow is like, and to be that voice that you need in the dark sometimes. Probably not me on double speed, though. Don't do that.
But back to bookings.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So watch out for that email. Everyone who's got an application in, and the few that haven't responded to the last opening, I generally send you 1 or 2, sometimes 3 if my login's not done correctly. So I apologise. And get yourself booked on. And
check junk. It will come from, what will it come through from? What email address?
I think it comes from me.
Oh, okay.
It actually comes from me. I have no newsletter lists.
Direct from the big man himself.
And then I was going to say something else, but
Your brain's dropped out.
It's gone completely.
Well, in that case, I'm going to just mention Woodstock. So the response that we had when we mentioned doing something bigger, and I'm not going to say better because that would diminish what we did, but we're talking full-blown festival. A day festival with the possibility to camp overnight.
Not Glastonbury.
Not Glastonbury.
That's not where we're in.
No. We're looking for, if you have or know of any widows or widowers or people that would be willing to support widowers to, because we want to keep costs down, obviously. We're going to have to sell tickets. We want to keep them as cheap as possible because we want you all to be able to come. Yeah. The date that we have tentatively booked is the 31st of August, 2024. That's it. That's all I got for you. But if you are thinking you'd like to come, pop that date in your diary and we will update you as and when. And yes, if you are a musician, a DJ, an acrobat, a face painter, an entertainer, an artist, you could do those portrait things that you get, caricatures. Because we want to build like a family-friendly day where you can come. Yeah. You trust that the kids can run off and have fun and they're going to be safe and just the chilled, just the stuff that we want. There's going to be security and it's going to be enclosed and there's going to be probably some sort of like dotted like nannies around, like to help, some childcare. Just basically, we want to give you guys a chance to kick back and relax a bit without having to constantly have eyes on your kids. So there'll be like a drum and bass tent and a kids disco tent, and I'm leaning towards karaoke, but
I am going to put a newsletter system together soon, so that you can register, and then we can get in touch with you in a better manner. Than just watch out for the Instagram post.
Yeah, because Instagram's not brilliant for us, is it? Yeah. And yes, we will figure out a way of letting you know all the details. But do drop us a note if you know of anybody that might be interested in lending their support. We don't expect people to give their time for free, but if they want to, that would be lovely. And if they want to give us a sorry, your husband or wife died discount, that would also be nice. Yeah. And we will keep you updated on branding and Woodstocking, because the new branding is very nearly ready. You may have noticed that it's now my face on Instagram while we're in hiatus. But it's very cool. And somebody said they would like us to do like a hoodies that didn't say Widowed AF on because they're not Widowed AF. And absolutely, we've taken that on board. And the new logo is a bird. I'll give you that much as a giveaway. And so we are going to incorporate things just using that logo, that sort of emblem of solidarity, but not necessarily with the word widowed on it. So we're listening.
Yeah, we are.
Not always to each other. And actually, I am just going to tell you guys something. I'm feeling loads better. I'm tentatively saying this because I've had a really good week, and it has been a challenging week. There's been a lot on. So I think perhaps the HRT is starting to work, which is, so if you are struggling with the sort of symptoms that I've described, the irrational low mood and things like this, maybe go get yourselves checked, because if this continues, it's been life-changing. So I'll sort of document it for those of you who are interested. There's some blokes listening going, oh, you bloody know about your hormones.
That's the guys you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you do.
Yeah. And men, the more you can support your women through this period in their life, because our parents are of the generation of it's just something you go through. We don't have to suffer anymore. There are so many options out there. And the sooner that you start to treat the symptoms of perimenopause particularly, the less impact menopause should have on you. But once again, not a menopause podcast, but we like to cover all bases. Yeah. So unless you've got anything else to add, Mr. GM.
No, I'm all good, thank you.
I think that's us for the day. So have a listen tomorrow to Laurie's episode if you're feeling brave, but I really would suggest not driving while listening to this one.
Unless it's below 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's as long as you get. Mascara warning is high on this one, but it's for me personally, I guess I would like you to listen, because I think you may see a little bit more into my story, because it's been a long time since I told my story in full. Episode 3, I was. Mm-hmm. And actually, at some point, John and I may redo our interviews. We may interview each other, because there will be many of you that have a kind of a gist of what happened, and also we are aware the sound quality is quite shit on our first episode.
Also, on sound quality, it is noted that the last few episodes, Rosie's had a little bit of clipping on her voice. I think we fixed it, and I think we're out of the woods for the ones that have been clipped. There may be a couple more, so I apologise, but I'm learning this as I go.
We think a child might have touched
touched some buttons and not told us.
Well, actually, I might use the picture of the nice shiny buttons as the picture for this episode, because you can see why a child might wish to have a little poke around. Yeah. They are nice. They're shiny.
Well, I'll do the picture.
Right now.
Now. Live on air. There we go.
You can even see it. See me talking. La, 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 la. Anyway, on that note, best of luck for the week ahead, my friends. Keep putting one foot in front of the other, because even if that's all you manage to do this week, then you are, in our eyes, winning. We're right here with you, and we are willing all of you on your whatever journey you are on.
Goodbye, everybody. Take care.
Take care, guys.